Hi everybody, it's Erica of the Knit Kind podcast and Grapefruit and Gardenia Designs. I'm coming at you for a quick one today because I've just carved out a little bit of time during school vacation week when I have a quiet house. And by a little bit, I mean really, I better get to it. So you can see I've got my Knit for Food shirt on. My swag arrived, the purple one, for anybody who's looking and trying to figure out sizes. I think I got the unisex medium. Debated between the fitted one and getting an extra large, and this is what I went with. So if you're looking for a benchmark, that's, I'd say, pretty typical for what I order. Love the color, love the design, and I plan to be a walking billboard today, and also at the Wayland Farmers Winter Market Fiber Festival coming up. So many of you have probably watched other podcasts that I've done for Knit Kind, and I just wanted to put out there today, because of what I'm going to talk about in this really short video, why I do this. I get asked a lot. Maybe I ask myself in my own head quite a bit, why am I taking the time to do this? And I think the most important thing is just the idea of, I'm going to summarize it, not in my own words. So this little calendar here with these adorable drawings is part of the Winnie the Pooh themed Advent or countdown calendar that I got from So Happy Jane this year. And I really couldn't resist. Of course, the yarn is gorgeous, but I really couldn't resist the theme because it was so much about kindness and everything that I stand for and put out in the world through this YouTube channel. So the drawings were, I think, all hand done by Heather, and Winnie the Pooh this year came out into the public domain, so you could use it without issues with copyright, things like that. And so there's this, little picture of Piglet by the fire and Winnie and Pooh, I should say, Winnie the Pooh. And they're not knitting, but they might as well be knitting, right? And the quote on the bottom says, "You can't stay in your corner of the forest waiting for others to come to you. You have to go to them sometimes." So I think doing this podcast is my way of going to you and trying to find other people out there who share values and interests and just want to be part of kindness, whether it's through the fiber world or not. But for me, that is my vehicle for talking to you about kindness. So first things first, Knit for Food. I'm going to try to do a little bit every week if I can, maybe more frequently, just to keep that at the forefront of everyone's minds as we approach March 23rd, Saturday, the actual day of the event this year. And if you watched either my Knit for Food highlight or other things I've done, I don't know what I'm saying right now, then you'll see that I'm really just asking as many people as possible to normalize giving a $5 or a $10 gift. I do want to thank the following people who have given, and I appreciate it so much, and so I wanted to give you a special thanks. Lauren L., Nancy R., Liz F., Maria M., Ray C., and Barbara B. Thank you so much, and today is the 21st, I think, of February. So if you've given and it's after that, hopefully, it would be great to have so many names that I had to list them on the screen. That would be awesome with $5 and $10 gifts. These folks have given even more generously, and I'm very appreciative. So what I wanted to talk about thematically is that idea that when we collaborate, when we rise up with each other, when we find people who share values and interests, and we can do so much good in the world and in our own lives and for our own mental health. So I am going to talk a little bit today in the context of Knit for Food about local yarn shops. And if I have a chance, I also have another topic, but I might have to do a few things, kind of cut and paste we'll see what I can get through in the short amount of time. So I am so fortunate to live in an area where we have so many local yarn shops within driving distance and even more, the more concentric circles you put on a map. And one of the things I did is I grabbed an old passport from our Greater Boston Yarn Crawl just to give you an idea, these are probably, I can't think of one that's probably more than an hour away, and some of them are 10, 15 minutes away. We have another yarn in Burlington, Aunt Margaret's Yarn Shop in Chelmsford, Black Sheep Knitting in Needham, Boston Fiber Company in Boston, Craftworks in Northborough, Alyssa's Creative Warehouse in Needham, Garden for Knitters in North Andover, Gather here in Cambridge, Island Yarn Company in Maynard, Isla's Terrace in Hudson, Sit and Knit in Melrose, Stitch House Dorchester in Dorchester, and The Unruly Stitch in Weston, Mass. Why am I reading them off to you, right? Anybody could go look these up. The idea of collaborating together. There's always competitiveness in the world. Some of it's healthy, some of it's not. But, competitiveness is also different from conflict. And so I just think the more that we help each other, the more that we talk about each other's strengths rather than weaknesses, the more we help people find the local yarn shop that's best suited to them. And maybe it's one and maybe it's more than one. The more good we can do. And so I say it in the context of Knit for Food. I'm very appreciative. Last year, co-hosted an event at Black Sheep Knitting in Needham. And also I wanted to mention that Craftworks in Northborough last year had an event for Knit for Food, and they are having one again this year. And this year, Unruly Stitch in Weston has offered to have us have a space there for a little meetup. So I would encourage every single shop on that list to find your knitters. Host a meetup for Knit for Food. It is on a Saturday this year. I imagine more shops are open on Saturday than Sunday. And even if what you do is spread awareness, even if you don't raise thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars, it's a great way to do well by doing good. And I used to work, as I've said, in fundraising. I used to work specifically in corporate relations. And one of the things that I find really interesting about Knit for Food is, of course, there are a million opportunities for cause marketing. But when I spoke with Laura last year, and this is why I had referenced that after speaking with her, I was even more inspired, that was not really something that she wanted to pursue. And I think that speaks to the grassroots effort of this and just the really authentic work being done. It's not to say there's not opportunities for cause marketing. It's not to say that there couldn't be some really great things around that. But that's one of the things that impressed me the most for it getting started, right? People could do percentages of sales. They could do all these things. But this is really about $5 and $10 donations that aren't tax deductible because they're going through Give Butter to a person who's sitting there knitting for hours. And it's not really even about swag, because she'll make the point that, there's not money from this coming back. The money from these goes to the graphic designer, which is separate from fundraising. 100% of proceeds from Knit for Food go to 4 organizations: Feeding America, No Kid Hungry, Meals on Wheels, and World Central Kitchen. And so for those of you that is really important to, please know that if you donate to Knit for Food, 100% of your donation is going to those 4 organizations, split equally. So that's just a reminder about what the event is. And it's a little plug for these local yarn shops that either have hosted in the past, are hosting this year, or might host in the future. I have had people in Massachusetts say they're from the Cambridge-Somerville area. Some don't have cars. They've talked about reaching out to a shop. So either if this ends up getting passed along to shop owners and nobody has approached you, why not put it out there on a newsletter? If you're going to be open anyway, why not put up a flyer that says, Knit for Food and what it is? And if you have a reason why not, that's okay. That's okay too. Maybe you support hyper-local, your own food pantry. I am sure there are ways to tie it all together. A lot of the times, local food pantries do benefit from these larger organizations. A lot of times you'll have a national organization, and then you might have something like we have here, which is the Greater Boston Food Bank, and then that also supports local organizations. So just hold on making any assumptions about national, state, and hyperlocal. A lot of times they're all connected, and doing your homework on that is your responsibility. So finding out the level of service, the level of excellence, because sometimes hyperlocal and totally volunteer run is wonderful, and sometimes it might mean that the quality isn't there. And so that's your job as a donor And I'm going to just empower you a little bit there. That's your job as a donor to think about what you're doing, what you're investing in, and how your values align with the organizations that you are working with. And in a similar way, your local yarn shop. I have taught knitting classes at a library, and I don't tell them to go to one local yarn shop, and I don't tell them to go to one big box, and by them I mean students who take the class. What I do is I put a whole list of all of these, or many, the ones that are closest to us. I don't necessarily suggest somebody drive an hour and a half if they could drive 10 minutes, but I put a list of all of the local yarn shops in my materials for class. And I also put, the closest Joann's and Michael's, because everyone is different. Everyone has different budgets. Everyone has different personalities. Everyone has different levels of comfort and different experiences when they go to local yarn stores, right? As well as big box stores. And it's really finding what works for you, and it's what works for you at any given point in time. And it might be different at different points of your life. So I am just reminding us all to be kind to each other, right? The saying, if you can be anything, be kind. I can't stress that enough. We have a choice every minute of every day. We do not have to have a reaction or a response that's the same as we've had in the past. We all have our moments. We all have our shining moments, and we all have our moments that are our darkest moments. And if we remember that every opportunity, every moment is an opportunity to choose how we're going to show up in that moment, then I think we, again, will all be kinder to ourselves and kinder to each other. So I did want to mention that I also, I thought about hosting an event for Knit for Food at the library, and it's just not going to work out because even though our library is a wonderful local resource, they are not able to host anything that is a fundraiser. So if you're local to me, if you're wondering where I'm going to pop up, this year I thought we would just mix it up, pop around to the different local yarn shops, and I will be at Unruly Stitch we are planning right now on just 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturday the 23rd to knit together, Knit for Food. And there's going to be Zoom programming before that and Zoom program after that. We have, within such a close proximity to me, both Craftworks and Unruly Stitch hosting this year, and maybe some of the other local yarn shops will also host. I know some of the people that joined us last year, maybe they will continue the tradition at Black Sheep. So thank you to everybody who's doing that. Thank you to every local yarn shop who's stepping up to host and be part of this wonderful event. So I hope you have enjoyed this short pop-in on school vacation week in Massachusetts, talking about local yarn stores, reminding us all about Knit for Food, how we can all work together, how we can find each other in this world. Knit kindly, live kindly, and I will chat with you again soon. Take care.